It started with a look. Not the kind that sweeps you off your feet. The kind that traps you before you even realize you're falling. That was him. Luca Romano. The man who built an empire from shadows and silence. The man who made the city tremble when he spoke. And somehow, he saw me. I wasn't supposed to be there that night, just a caterer at a private event, serving champagne to men in suits with smiles sharper than knives. But he caught my wrist when I reached for a glass and said, "You don't belong here." He was right. And yet, from that moment, I was nowhere else. Luca was dangerous, not in the way movies show with guns and threats, but in the way he could quiet a room without raising his voice. Everything about him said control. Everything in me wanted to break it. He started showing up. At the cafe where I worked. On the street outside my apartment. Not to scare me, but to make sure I was safe, he said. From whom? I never asked. Some answers feel safer left in the dark. One night, I found a car waiting outside my building. His driver. He wanted to see me. When I stepped into that mansion of stone and shadow, I realized just how far apart our worlds were. Chandeliers hung like galaxies. Security men whispered into earpieces. And at the center him, sitting quietly with a glass of whiskey, eyes never leaving mine. "You shouldn't have come," he said softly. "You invited me." He smiled, that quiet, dangerous smile. "That's what makes you brave." Days turned into weeks. He never promised anything, not love, not safety, not forever. But he gave me something else. His time. For a man like Luca, that was the rarest currency of all. Sometimes we'd talk for hours. He'd tell me pieces of his past, growing up with nothing, building his name with blood and loyalty. He never said the word Mafia, but he didn't have to. I saw it in the way people stepped aside when he walked by. And I told him things, too. About the small dreams I'd buried, painting, traveling, being ordinary again. He listened like no one ever had. But love doesn't grow easily in the dark. The night everything changed, the city was loud. Sirens, thunder, secrets spilling into the streets. Luca had gone silent for 3 days. No calls. No messages. Just absence. When he finally appeared at my door, his hand was bruised, his shirt stained with something darker than wine. He didn't speak. He just looked at me with eyes that carried 1,000 wars. "I told you I'd keep you safe," he said. "But I can't do that anymore." I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just took his face in my hands and whispered, "Then stay anyway." And for that night he did. We sat by the window, the storm raging outside, his head resting against my shoulder. For a man who controlled everything, he looked human, tired, broken, real. That was the moment I realized I wasn't just in love with the man he showed the world. I was in love with the man he tried to hide. But every love story built on danger has an ending written in fire. The following week, his enemies came for him. I remember the glass shattering, the lights dying, his voice shouting my name before the sound of gunfire swallowed everything. I woke up in a hospital bed, alone. No sign of him. No note. Nothing but silence and the faint smell of his cologne on my jacket. They said he disappeared. That men like Luca don't die, they vanish. For months, I tried to move on. Tried to believe he was gone. But every night, I'd hear his voice, the way he'd say my name, slow, deliberate, like a secret prayer. A year passed. And then, one evening, I found a small box on my doorstep. No name, no address. Inside, a single black rose, and a note in his handwriting. Some empires fall. But not this one. Not us. I don't know where he is. Maybe he's rebuilding, maybe he's watching, maybe he's closer than I think. But I know this, the city still whispers his name, and my heart still beats to the rhythm he left behind. If you've ever loved someone who existed in the shadows, someone who made you feel both safe and terrified, then you know what it's like to love a man like Luca. And if he's out there listening, tell him I kept my promise. I never stopped waiting. If you were me, would you still wait for him? Do you believe in second chances, even when the first nearly destroyed you? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more emotional story narrations that will stay with you long after the screen fades to black.